Friends, welcome to Vital Encouragement, right? I just want to encourage you just to slow down for a minute and just think clearly for a couple of seconds, right? Because right now we just want to make a conscious decision to choose life. And look, I just want to start off by saying I know some opportunities look safe, right? We've all said at some point in our life, it's all good, right? Nothing's going to happen to me. And sometimes even nothing bad happens at first. But then all of a sudden we get stuck and we start wondering, how did I even get here? And so when I was preparing for this message, I thought, I remembered a time in my life where it just seemed like nothing was making sense anymore. I felt like meaning was just gone, And so I went and talked to a friend of mine's mom and asked her what she thinks, And she said, baby, some decisions are so small, they seem insignificant. But every decision that we make, it moves us either forwards or backwards. She went on to say, it's the decisions in life that seem the most insignificant. Those are the ones that cost us the most. She said, some decisions are like a Mack truck. They just, boom, they hit you right in the face. And, you made a bad decision. Like you're arrested. You wake up in a jail cell. You total your car. She said, but it's these seemingly small decisions, the ones that are like just taking a breath, that can take you on a ride where all of a sudden things stop and you don't even know how you got there. And look, I know most bad choices, they don't feel bad. Most of them even feel normal, and some feel good. And that's why they work, because they're so seductive. Proverbs 9:13 says, the woman named foolishness is loud. She's naive and knows nothing. And here we see that foolishness is by nature unwise, superficial, just loud, full of noise. And so I just wanted to ask you real quick, what's that remind you of? Those characteristics. Unwise, superficial, full of noise. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he told me that he had bought some noise canceling headphones. He said it wasn't for music, but it was for peace and quiet. And he explained how every time he tries to think, something's always talking. Like his phone is buzzing, or a video starts playing, or there's some type of news going off in the background. Just constant noise. He said one night that he had put the headphones on and he didn't play anything. That he was just looking for silence, And he said all of a sudden, his chest got tight and that his mind started to race. And he said that's when it hit him. That the noise wasn't around him, that somehow it had moved inside of him, That's the dangerous part, is that noise can move inside of us. And that being in quieter, having peace, all of a sudden can feel awkward and unfamiliar. And it's crazy because he said that he hadn't listened to his own thoughts in such a long time. And friends, look, that's the danger of living in a loud world. It just keeps talking. So that me and you, we never stop long enough to even ask what's going on, or where am I going? Where am I headed? At times everything can be loud because we're always bombarded with somebody's opinion, or somebody's giving a hot take about this, or there's always endless scrolling, and it's just constant noise. But friends, on the opposite, Jesus is calm, right? He doesn't yell to get people's attention. He's not trying to rush you, right? Truth doesn't need volume to be real. I don't need to stand behind a pulpit and scream so that you hear me. Right? Friends, look, I'm telling you, if that made you pause for a minute, then do me a favor and just hit that like button, because that's going to tell YouTube that this message is worth spreading so that other people can hear it. Look, Proverbs 9:14 says that foolishness sits at the door of her house, on a seat at the highest point of the city. Friends, foolishness doesn't just hide in the dark. It sits at the highest point in the most obvious place, right where everybody's passing by. And so here we can see that foolishness is looking for a victim. Doesn't this sound like something Satan would do? St. Peter said, "Be alert and sober-minded, for your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." Friends, I'm telling you, the world puts temptation right up in front of us. It's always on the TV. When we're going to get our groceries, it's on magazine covers. It's on our phones. It's in our feeds. And look, I'm telling you, Jesus doesn't sit at the door trying to trap me and you. In fact, he goes and builds a house and he invites me and you to come inside on purpose. Jesus wants to give us hope and a future, not entrap us and enslave us and bombard us. Proverbs 9:15 says that foolishness calls out to those who pass by, those who are going straight on their way. And that's the scary part, that foolishness doesn't just target the lost, it targets the ones who are focused, the ones who are growing, the ones who are trying to do right. I mean, right now you can see that scam artists right now are targeting people who have money. Right? And every time they call you, they're always saying, "Hey, I'm here to help." And they sound so friendly because they don't want to scare us, because they're trying to lure and entice us. And so Proverbs 9:16 says, "Whoever is simple, let him turn and hear. And to him who lacks sense," she says. So the world loves the word simple. That's why drugs are classified as mind-altering substances, because the world screams, "Don't think. Don't ask questions. If it feels good, it must be good. Just try it." But Jesus says that wisdom starts with thinking, with asking, with slowing down. And so look, if somebody tells you not to think, friends, I'm telling you, they're not trying to help you. Verse 17 says that stolen water is sweet and food eaten in secret is delicious. The world says do it in secret. And that's why it feels good. It feels naughty. And it's crazy how hidden pleasures can feel exciting at first, but then they lead to shame and regret. It's the private clicks, the quiet choices, those decisions that we make late night that bother us when we're laying down and our head's on the pillow. Friends, look, I'm telling you, if the temptation or the vice has to hide, it can't be good for you. It might be sweet now, but it doesn't mean safety later. Verse 19 says, "But does he not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of hell?" Friends, I'm telling you, this is a warning. The person just living life doesn't know what happens inside. They don't know that death's inside of foolishness's house. You can hear laughs. You might even see through the windows and see people having fun. They're always making promises of freedom. But Proverbs says the end of that house is loss, regret, spiritual death. You see, the world never shows the ending. Jesus always does, because he doesn't have anything to hide from me and you. He's always up front. Friends, look, I'm telling you, the danger isn't that the world is evil. It's that it tries to make evil sound normal. And look, the book of Proverbs isn't trying to scare us, right? This is just wisdom saying, wake up. Because not every open door leads to life. Look, Let me leave you with a couple easy applications. I made 3 of them for you, you know. So my first one was, it's very helpful just to create a quiet space on purpose, because quiet doesn't happen anymore. We have to choose it. If you ever have a free moment, just free your mind and let your mind do a small reset. Like no phone for 10 minutes, or no music, or no talking, and just sit somewhere so that quiet starts to feel normal again. And it might feel uncomfortable at first, but it will feel normal. So application 2 is question the voices that you trust, because not every loud voice is right. Not every popular idea is wise. Ask this simple question: where does this way of thinking lead? All right, if a voice tells you don't think, just try it, I'm telling you that voice isn't helping you, because wisdom is inviting me and you to thinking, but noise always avoids it. So look, application number 3 is that me and you can choose one clear voice each day. Me and you, we don't have to listen to everything. We weren't built for that. So me and you, we just need to make a conscious decision to choose one voice, a voice that will lead us in truth and peace. And then we can just easily turn the other ones down. Friends, this is just me and you going through the book of Proverbs. I'm really just trying to contrast these 2 different worldviews, because I wasn't always saved. But I know today that I have been saved because Jesus came into my life. And I want to encourage you that if you're at a place in life where you don't have any peace, that the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, he can give you peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding. And so I love you, and I just want to say thank you for staying with me to the end. This has been your vital encouragement. It's just a small spark of light so that hope arises and that you go out and be that amazing, bright light at your job, in your marriage, in your home, in your neighborhood. Be the difference that the world needs. I love y'all, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.